Donald Trump is in a bit of a predicament. On the one hand, he wants to fire his FBI director, Kash Patel, so badly. He knows how utterly incompetent Patel is. But on the other hand, Kash Patel knows where the bodies are buried, or I should say, what is in the Epstein files. Now, before Kash Patel became the FBI director, Kash Patel said that he was confident that the FBI had all the information about Epstein and had the Epstein list. Then he became the FBI director, and he was going to produce all of the records. He had his FBI agents go through them, try to identify any reference to Donald Trump's name. They found quite a few, apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal and others. They briefed Donald Trump. Trump said to Deep Six it. And then you had Kash Patel say, I don't know, Epstein files. What Epstein files? I don't know. But it rubbed off on him, and that was part of the ideology. Like, what are you talking about? Fox, by the way, is reporting knives are out for embattled FBI Director Kash Patel. He claims despite Trump's support. And I think what the Trump support means is that Donald Trump can't lose Kash Patel right now because Kash Patel and Dan Bongino know what's in those Epstein files, and Trump hasn't figured out what other job he's going to give Kash Patel or how he's going to silence Patel. Patel sought a meeting with Trump following the blunders as a new co-deputy begins work next week. And so this talks about how, like, everybody around Trump pretty much wants Patel and Bongino gone, but Trump can't get rid of them. And it's like, because Trump still supports him. No, it's because Patel knows what the Epstein files are. That's why Trump can't get rid of him until Trump figures out, am I going to give this guy an ambassadorship, or where can I move him to keep him silent? How can I rearrange the ships on the Titanic, in other words? But let me just remind you of Kash Patel's background, like when Kash Patel was on with Benny Johnson and he said this. Do you remember it? Let's play this clip right here.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing? Oh, I saw you give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, you know, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word, or whoever that guy is, as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything. But how are you going to reward the FBI with a new headquarters building after their illegal surveillance on Donald Trump continues with a reauthorization of FISA, and we can't even get basic documents out? This is why America hates Congress. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get the job done and failing.
Or how about in 2023 when Kash Patel said that Epstein's black book was under the direct control of the director of FBI? Here, play this clip.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
black book?
Black book.
FBI.
But who? That is, I mean, there's...
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school.
Yeah.
We still haven't seen that, right? It's not the Nashville police or PD saying we don't want this out. The FBI airmailed into that operation and said this is not getting out. Because they do that because this is another government gangster operation. All these local law enforcement communities get funding from the DOJ and FBI for local programs. And if you don't cooperate, you're not getting your $1 million for this, and you're not getting and that's a lot of money to these local districts.
And then notably, Kash Patel changed his tune very recently. And Kash Patel back in May said that he's not going to withhold information from the American public ever. You can rely on him, but they're not turning anything over. Here, play this clip.
The other thing on the internet is the Epstein files. What's the answer to that?
The answer to that is the same as everything else. I'm not going to withhold information from the American public ever, but I'm also not going to rush to get it out there in a format in which they can't rely on it. So on the Epstein matter or any other matters, we are diligently working on that, and it takes time to go through years of investigations, years of political maneuvering, and years of cover-up to get the American people what they deserve. And that's what I'm going to give them on everything.
Yeah.
And then this is what he says about how Epstein died. He goes, I could assure you it was suicide. Trust me, there's no conspiracy here, or even though he was the one saying before that there was. Anyway, play this clip.
But there is a lot of conspiracy theories out there.
There are.
The Epstein thing, you dealt with Maria, you said, as far as you know, he killed himself.
I'm telling you, he killed himself.
So going through this article from Fox about how the knives are out to get rid of Kash Patel, here's what it talks about. It talks about how former Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, once Trump's top pick to lead the FBI, he's now going to be the deputy FBI director because they're just keeping Dan Bongino as a co-deputy FBI director just to keep Bongino close, because again, Bongino knows what's up with the Epstein files as well. So they're keeping him as a co-deputy FBI director, but everyone's saying that they want this Andrew Bailey guy, far-right MAGA guy, they want him to be the leader of the FBI. It goes on to talk about how the White House, Bondi, Todd Blanche, that's Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, and number 2, now at the DOJ, have no confidence in Kash Patel. One source with knowledge of ongoing personnel discussions that Pam in particular cannot stand him. Todd Blanche either can't stand him. Bondi and Blanche, they say they deny that characterization, but it seems to be that they are most likely the sources of, as I previously reported, more than 1,000 FBI agents were assigned to comb through the Epstein files to flag any mentions of Trump's name for higher-ups. They then redacted his name, so Kash Patel has all the goods right there. And by the way, do you remember this one from February 27th, 2025, this letter from Pam Bondi to Kash Patel? According to Pam Bondi, the FBI hid the Epstein files from her until now, until February 27th, 2025. But under Kash Patel's leadership, they're suddenly delivering everything, okay? This is another reason why they'd love to fire Kash, but Kash has the stash. The stash is the Epstein gash or rash or something that rhymes. Dear Director Patel, this is from Pam Bondi. Before you came into this office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily of flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers. Just a brief reminder, this is what those right-wing influencers held up, those Epstein binders, those Phase 1 binders. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Pause. More than 1,000. Try 3 terabytes of documents. That means more documents than would fit in like 3 massive skyscrapers if you filled the entire skyscrapers with documents. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn this new information. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, February 28th, the FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and material. You forgot about this letter, didn't you? You forgot. We don't forget about this letter at the Midas Touch Network, regardless of how such information was obtained. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. The department, let me repeat that again. There will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. That means Patel has the goods. Patel has the goods. The Department of Justice will ensure that any public disclosure of these files will be done in a manner to protect the privacy of victims and in accordance with the laws, as I have done my entire career as a prosecutor. I'm also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and a proposed personnel action plan within 14 days. In other words, Kash has the compromat. Kash has the compromat. I appreciate your immediate attention to this matter. Now, what do we think the compromat could be? It could be a lot of things, but Dan Goldman, Democratic Congress member, has some ideas. Play this clip.
Going on with the Epstein files. Donald Trump promised to release them. Pam Bondi said she had the files on her desk and that she was going to release them in the name of transparency. Kash Patel has spent years railing against the FBI to release the files. Many of my Republican colleagues were banging on the table to release the Epstein files. But now, all of a sudden, after a months-long review, Bondi and Patel say nothing to see here. No evidence that any American would want to see about accomplices, co-conspirators, or other people involved. Yesterday, the Republicans voted against releasing the files. So what's changed? Well, we all know Donald Trump has had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. He flew on his plane, he hung out in parties, spoke highly of him. And now there are many people saying that Donald Trump is included in the Epstein files. In fact, there are reporters who say that there are videos of him with topless women. Elon Musk even confirmed that Trump is blocking the release of these files because he's in them. Pam Bondi says there's nothing there, but Donald Trump even acknowledges that there is evidence there. It's just not credible. It's made up. This is a True Social post from 9:43 this morning. It is an admission that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, and the American people deserve to know whether he is or not.
Mr. Gar-
And Donald Trump's former biographer and someone who was going to potentially be Jeffrey Epstein's biographer, Michael Wolff, has some ideas. Play this clip.
At one point, after Trump had been elected, I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to show you something." And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, topless girls are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing,
covering their mouths.
Yeah, exactly. And pointing, 3 or 4 girls. And those are the ones I specifically remember. And my assumption is that they were in the safe, and I have seen him on other occasions take them out of the safe. And I think it's certainly not unlikely that they were in the safe when the FBI came in after his arrest and took everything from the house, including everything that was in the safe.
So Trump wants to fire Patel. That seems obvious. Bondi wants him gone. Blanche wants him gone. Everybody wants him gone. But then you just go back to remember this article that was leaked by Patel. To me, this leak was also a warning shot back to Donald Trump. September 13, 2025. Trump praises FBI Director Kash Patel for speedy capture of Charlie Kirk assassin. Dude, you had nothing to do with it. Tyler Robinson turned himself over to his dad, and his dad turned him over to pastors, and the pastors turned him over. In an exclusive interview with Fox Digital, Trump said he was very proud of the FBI, that he was very proud. You know what that means? Patel leaked it. Are you proud of me? Meaning, am I going to stay? That's the code. I have the Epstein files. I know all about you. Tell me what you think. When Trump responds to Fox, we are very proud. The code being, am I going to get rid of you? We're going to figure something out for you. Got it. And when we hear from Fox that Kash desperately wants to set up a meeting, I think Kash realizes that his days are numbered, but also he's going to want to negotiate an ambassadorship or something big because he now knows more than anybody about Trump. Just think about that. Follow the Kash.